let's read some recent new releases. I am getting 5-star feelings. I have this like innate fear that I'm just gonna DNF it. I feel like there are so many incredible new releases coming out in 2025, and I have a stack here of ones that have already been published or I have proof copies of that I cannot wait to get to any longer. So I thought that I would just film a reading vlog of me trying to get through as many of them as possible. I'm just so excited because all of these for the most part are near enough 5-star predictions, so I feel like we should be finding favorites in this video. Yeah, I feel like that is the only introduction necessary. We literally have a romance, we have fantasy, we have literary fiction, we have literally everything. We have a dystopian that is quite controversial currently. Let's get reading. Let's see how many I can get through in this video, and hopefully we find a 5-star. Good morning, guys. I've officially decided which book I'm going to start this video with. It is one of my most anticipated books of the entire year and undoubtedly a 5-star prediction. I have been waiting for a novel from this author for years, ever since I read their first one. I've since also read all of their poetry. They are one of my favourite writers in the entire world, and of course that is Ocean Vuong. The book is The Emperor of Gladness, and like I said, I have now started it. I'm currently 143 pages in, which I believe is about 36% through. I actually went into this knowing absolutely nothing, but then I saw he did an interview where he was talking about the synopsis of the book, and my god, did it sound heartbreaking. Not only the way that Ocean Vuong writes, but simultaneously the way that he just speaks is so beautiful. It does not surprise me in any way, shape or form how brilliant and talented he is as a writer and a poet. In the interview he was talking about, in this book there are two protagonists. One is a 19-year-old boy and one is an older woman. He was speaking at length about societal expectations when it comes to being too young and not yet an adult, but being too old and past your prime. And how these two people who are so completely different in terms of age and life experience and just dynamics in general, when they come together, the unlikely friendship that it can cause. And I suppose truly the societal expectations that are placed upon both of them and how they have so much to relate, but simultaneously they are so different, and I love that concept so much. I recently read The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa that kind of touched upon a similar theme, and I found it so heartbreaking but so human and so raw, and I loved it so much for that. So I feel like, of course I'm 30% of the way through, but I'm gonna love it even more as it goes on. Already in this, their dynamic is so heartwarming, equally heartbreaking, and one thing that Ocean Vuong does so brilliantly, which terrifies me when reading a new book from him, is he will absolutely rip your heart out. On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous by him, which was his novel previous to this one, broke my heart. I literally sobbed the first time that I read it. I so desperately want to do a reread, but just his writing style and the way that he writes characters is endlessly so phenomenal and so lyrical and so just so beautiful. I feel like I'm going to continuously say that, but he's one of my favourite writers for a reason. I'm constantly astounded by all of his work. To give you a brief summary of the plot and especially how this book started, we are following a 19-year-old boy who is sitting on the ledge of a bridge prepared to jump off. It is pouring down with rain, and this elderly woman comes out of her house and he's convincing him to step down and to get off, and that entire atmosphere was so, I don't even have words for it. Like, it's one of those scenes and one of those openings in a book that is so vividly going to be printed into my brain forever. The writing style was so astounding, but the way that Ocean Vuong wrote that scene instantly, I feel like, set up the rest of the book in such a perfect and tender way. The elderly woman Grazina is a widow, and she is also suffering with dementia, which obviously only adds an extra layer of heartbreak into the book, and I just endlessly, I cannot stress enough, the way that Ocean Vuong writes is astounding. If you've never read anything from him, please do. See, I'm not even halfway through yet, but I am expecting the second half of the book to just absolutely blow me away. So those are all of my thoughts on Earth. No, not On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous, wrong book. The Emperor of Gladness so far. I am falling in love with Ocean Vuong's writing style all over again, which I kind of expected I would. I didn't think anything else. Yeah, I'm gonna read a little bit more of this now. I also kind of really want to go outside because it is such nice weather, and I'm really trying to utilize the nice weather in the UK. I kind of want to go sit at my favourite park, maybe get a matcha and then read this. I take this as your sign to not do your makeup right as you're gonna finish an Ocean Vuong book, because what the fuck? I'm gonna take the bookmark out because I was listening to the audiobook for the last couple of chapters. Oh my god. The thing that Ocean Vuong does so incredibly every single time is the way that he writes about humans, and like he will just detail the most mundane character or like the most mundane scene and everyday routine of life and like work, employment and everything like that, but it will be the most beautiful thing you've ever read in your entire life. Honestly, Ocean Vuong Try Not to Make Me Cry challenge, this was astounding. I feel like I have so much I could possibly say about it, but I feel like it would just make me cry. The relationships in this and all of the dynamics, especially between Hai and Grazina, actually were as wholesome as they were heartbreaking. Obviously Grazina has dementia too, which makes any sort of story even more heartbreaking and just so raw. Their relationship was so astounding, and I absolutely love the commentary on seeing this elderly woman with dementia and this 19-year-old boy creating this unlikely alliance. In society, both ends of the spectrum are often discarded in a way, and when they both come together, it was so beautiful. I cannot recommend reading this enough. It's definitely a heavy book, I must say. Not only obviously in the representation with dementia, but simultaneously it talks a lot about addiction and drug addiction, and it is so heartbreaking. I cannot stress that enough, but it is as heartbreaking as it is beautiful, and I fear that a day will never come where I don't rate an Ocean Vuong 5 stars, because this was 5 stars. I am so happy about it. Obviously this was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I did anticipate to rate it 5 stars, but some part of me didn't think it would be, solely because I haven't really had a 5 star in a really long time, but undoubtedly 5 stars. The last chapter, 5 stars alone. Yeah, I'm really excited to explore more of my thoughts. Obviously, like I said, I literally just finished it 10 seconds ago. I will have even more in-depth thoughts, I'm sure, in my wrap up once I've sat with it for a little while, but definitely a 5 star. Good morning guys. As you would have seen yesterday, I did start the second book for this video, and I am reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. Like Emperor of Gladness, this is one of my most anticipated books of 2025, so I am so excited to be reading it, period, let alone a little bit early in comparison to the release, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm already loving it so far. I'm currently 19% of the way through, and there is just something about the way that V. Schwab writes that is so unique and so phenomenal, and just every single thing that she writes is so atmospheric. It endlessly is so vivid, and I can so perfectly imagine all of these characters and the setting, and it's just perfect. Like, I'm actually having the time of my life. I already feel like it could be a 5 star. If somehow we end up getting 2 back-to-back 5 stars, I think I'll cry. I don't think I've had back-to-back 5 stars, oh my god, probably for years. Even in terms of this year, I think I've only had maybe like 2 or 3 5 stars, and I'm adamant to find more 5 stars than I did last year. I think last year I got about 9. I could be wrong. It was definitely under 10. This year I'm adamant to have the most 5 stars than I've ever had before, so I'm so hopeful that this could be 5 stars. If you don't know what this book is about, to be honest, all I even know about it 19% of the way through is that it is sapphic, there are vampires, and we are following 3 different timelines and 3 different characters, which somehow eventually are gonna interweave. And honestly, I'm loving every single character, and I'm loving every single timeline, and I feel like normally when there's dual timelines or multiple POVs, I always prefer one over the other, but with this one, genuinely, I'm obsessed with all of them, and I think that's why I feel like I'm gonna absolutely fly through it. Also why I wanted to give you an update, because I feel like the next time I update you, I might be like halfway through. I feel like I'm just gonna want to sit down and binge read it once I've done all my work today. It is just so good so far, and like I said, V. Schwab's writing is endlessly so vivid and so imaginative and so whimsical and so beautiful, and this is no different currently. I am so excited to carry on reading it. So I'm gonna have some lunch, I'm gonna do a little bit more work, and then I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna read more of Bury Our Bones, and I will give you an update once I've read more. Hi guys, it is currently 9 PM. I'm in bed with my hot water bottle, and I've got Bury Our Bones, and I'm excited to read a lot more tonight. I'm currently 41% of the way through. I read quite a bit at the cafe today, and I'm really liking it. Something happened that I did not expect at all, especially when it came down to these specific characters and their character arc. I thought it was going to go in an entirely different direction. However, I'm so intrigued to see how it carries on now. I am really loving Sabine's narrative. As much as I was loving Alice's narrative, I think Sabine's perspective is definitely my favourite. I just find it so interesting, and I love the fact that we're following so many different time periods and settings. I think that it is so brilliantly done, and I don't know, I'm just really liking it so much. It's definitely a fast-paced read too. I think I would love to read at least another 20% tonight. Who knows, I might end up finishing it. I think I've got about 4 hours left, so I probably won't unless I plan on staying up all night to read it. Yeah, I've got 4 hours and 30 minutes left, so as long as I read like a 20%, I feel like that will be so easy, because like I said, it's so quick to fly through, and just the way that V. Schwab writes is so brilliant and so fun and so engaging and so vivid, which always makes a reading experience even better, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So like I said, I'm gonna read a lot more of this now. I'm not planning on moving from this spot until tomorrow, so hopefully I can read a lot. I did not read up to 16% last night. I read a little bit more and then I really got in the mood to watch a movie. So I watched Uptown Girls, which love. But when I read a little bit more this morning, I am just shy of the 60% mark. I'm now 58% of the way through Bury Our Bones and I am getting 5-star feelings. One thing about me, I love vampire media. Whether it's going to be a novel, a film, a TV show, I love it all of the time, and it's very rare that I will consume something that has vampires in it and I won't like it. No matter really what form that takes, I always end up falling in love with them and they always end up becoming some of my favourite pieces of media, and I feel like this, oh my god, I really hope it's going to be 5-star. I think the main thing I'm just loving about it so much is the way that all of these characters are so vivid and are so real, even though they literally are supernatural and also fictionalized, but like they feel so real, and I'm loving their character arc so much. I'm loving all of their development, especially when it comes to Sabine and Alice. I just find them so fascinating, and we're definitely getting to the point now that I'm halfway or over halfway through where we are starting to see some of the characters interweave in the most fascinating ways, and I think it's just such brilliant storytelling, and I can so vividly picture the whole time that I'm reading this. I just know that V. Schwab took time and took care to write these characters and this plot, and it's just so brilliantly written and so brilliantly done, and alongside that her writing style, as I've already touched upon, is so beautiful. Currently I feel like it's pretty flawless for me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm utterly obsessed with it, and I feel like it's one that I'm definitely gonna think about for a really long time once I have finished it. I'm in that boat where I want to binge read it so bad to see how it ends, and I'm so fascinated to see how it ends because I genuinely have no idea. Not a single part of me has any suspicion as to where this is going to go, and I kind of love that. Whether there's going to be a massive plot twist or the ending is going to be really quiet and somber or really beautiful and happy, I genuinely have no idea, and I'm super excited to see, but in the same breath I'm going to be so sad once I finished it. This is just so good, and there's nothing I love more than reading something that I feel like is going to be a 5-star and getting the most amazing feelings in the world. I feel like other than Emperor of Gladness, I haven't really had feelings like that for a couple of months. I feel like I have been having a really good reading year so far, but I feel like this month has potential to be the best, even though April was also amazing. I'm just so excited to carry on reading it, and every single time I think about it, I feel like it's going to be 5 stars. One thing that I really love in terms of vampires and vampire media, which I also think that V. Schwab is doing so brilliantly, is the characters are always so morally grey. It is so fascinating to see each character embrace or not so embrace this change and this transformation in a way that is so personal and so unique, but simultaneously the community aspect of it is so fascinating. I really feel like the way that V. Schwab has created the lore of these characters and her own vampires is so unique, while simultaneously doing the odes to the classic vampire myths and all of the little tropes and stereotypes within that. It is so fascinating reading from some of the characters who are aware that vampires are this supernatural being that don't exist, but when it comes to them actually transitioning, for example, they are like the stereotypes of, can I walk into this house without being invited? Am I gonna burn alive in the sun? It's so fun and it is so unique, and I just love the way that V. Schwab has built the lore of this novel. I am just really enjoying it, so hopefully it will carry on feeling like it's going to be a 5-star. I'm so excited. I hopefully can finish it today. I really feel like I'm going to fly through the ending, but I feel like I'm going to be so sad when it's over. So yeah, maybe the next time I update you I would have finished it, who's to know, but I'm going to read a little bit more now and I will hopefully speak to you soon. Hi guys, I've just finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab, and I have some thoughts on this. The entire time I thought I was going to rate this a 5-star. Even down to the last 2-3 chapters, I also thought it was going to be a 5-star, babe. The last chapter, I did not like the ending of this book, and that makes me so sad because the entirety of the book otherwise was a solid 5-star. Obviously I feel like I could still rate it 5 stars even though I didn't like the ending, but I really didn't like the ending, and I'm really intrigued to see if that's going to be a general consensus or if people aren't really going to mind so much. Obviously without giving spoilers, I just didn't like where it headed specifically for one character, and just really annoyed me, and I'm so sad about it. However, I still love this book so much. I endlessly love the way that V. Schwab writes fantasy. I think especially to do with vampires, which I've already touched upon, just in terms of their lore and also making it quite unique to her own novel. Done so brilliantly, and alongside her beautiful writing, it was just such an amazing experience, so vivid. I think it's definitely one perfect to read in autumn. I would absolutely love to do a reread of it already. I really enjoyed it. Naturally I am sad that I didn't rate it 5 stars because like I said, it was definitely close to being a 5-star, so I think I'm going to rate it 4.5. The only thing I didn't like about this book personally was the ending, and I think that that is still quite a feat because I never rate books 5 stars, and finding a 5-star fantasy is always the best feeling in the world, and it's actually quite rare for me. I adored all of the characters so much. I thought the way that she interweaved all of their lives together was so brilliant and so clever and very evidently so thought out. All of the places that we travelled, all of the time periods that we were in, I just think it was so brilliant, and I think it was done so brilliantly. However, the ending I just didn't like, so yeah, 4.5 stars. stars. I'm really so happy still with how it went. I'm so happy that I finally read it. It was definitely one of the best books that I read this month and likely even this year yet. So yeah, 4.5 stars. Guys, I am now reading A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I knew I wanted to read this in this video because, like I said, as all of the other ones have been, this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. Simultaneously to that, however, it is the one that I'm most scared about and I'm most daunted about because I've seen the most mixed things about it. I've seen people either love it, rate it 5 stars, or people be like, 2.5. It scares me. I don't really know how I'm gonna feel about it. I am on chapter 7. I'm 15% of the way through. I decided to start it via the audiobook this morning. I do actually own the physical copy too, so I might dip in and out of the audiobook and the physical copy. I'm just really intrigued to see how this book formulates and just how it carries on, because I've seen so many people say that it's less romancy in comparison to her other ones, but if that is the case, I feel like I will love it for that. I will say it's really reminding me of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think in terms of the entire plot, obviously our protagonist is a journalist and she's really wanting to get this job of writing a memoir for this really prestigious celebrity. However, there is another guy, another journalist, who wants the same job, and it's kind of them trying to figure out who is going to get the job whilst they do the research of studying that celebrity. Apologies if the camera angle changed slightly, I had to clear up some space on my memory card. But as I was saying, obviously currently 15% of the way through, we're very much following them trying to get to know one another. There is undoubtedly a little bit of tension because obviously they are going for the same job. I wouldn't say they're necessarily enemies, and I don't really personally like in a romance book where enemies are kind of seen in this co-working space of because they want the same job they have to be enemies. I thoroughly disagree with that, and I kind of like that it isn't leaning towards the enemies approach, but there definitely is tension because of it. There is discussions about them co-writing it, and it is very much just reminding me of Evelyn Hugo in that journalist for a celebrity memoir sort of sense, and I'm really intrigued because of it to kind of see how it's going to carry on progressing. I currently don't really see any tension between them. Granted, I'm only 15% of the way through, but the protagonist, Babe, she's already bending over backwards for him, and like not in a good way. Reading from her narrative too and seeing how she's kind of feeling about the entire situation and him specifically, I feel like the only thing that she likes is that he's attractive. Respectfully, currently there's no really redeeming factor to this man. Like, he is slightly annoying, and I do slightly worry that I'm really not going to vibe with the romance element of this book. However, if that is a main reason why so many people don't like it in terms of it being quite small and it isn't a romance, it's more literary fiction, then maybe I will like it more because of that. I don't really know how to feel about it currently, which is a strange feeling because, like I said, this was obviously one of my most anticipated books of the year. I have quite a few errands that I need to run today, so I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook a little bit more today and hopefully I get through it a little bit more. I'm just so worried that I'm not going to like it, and I have this like innate fear that I'm just going to DNF it. I don't know why, because there's nothing wrong with DNFing, but the thought of DNFing an Emily Henry book kind of makes me cry, and I'm currently not really feeling like that, so I don't really know. I just don't know how to feel about this book currently, and it's really conflicting. Something else that is really conflicting is the fact that I could do my hair and it will fall out in literally 2 seconds. If anyone has any tips on how to like keep, I suppose, shape to your hair once you've done it, because every time I curl my hair with a curling wand it stays in for days, but if I use this, which I suppose is like a Dyson Airwrap dupe, it is the Beauty Works one, it never ever holds in my hair, and I'm trying to just figure out how to make it hold in my hair. If anyone has any tips with that, bit of a sidetrack, please let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna listen to more of Great Big Beautiful Life, Great Big BBL, Great BBL as you will, and I'm excited but I'm also scared, so I will come on and give you an update once I've read a little bit more. If this background looks familiar, it's just because I've just finished filming my final update for Bury Our Bones, but I am of course now reading Great Big Beautiful Life, and I wanted to give you an update. I actually haven't read all that much more of this solely because it's not what I'm currently in the mood for, and obviously in this video I'm reading new releases, new anticipated releases, some of my most anticipated books for the year. Obviously, as much as I can, I would love to ensure that I'm in the mood to read them to get the best experience. I think especially for this one because I've seen such mixed things, I'm not currently in the mood for a book like this. I'm really craving a fantasy. After Bury Our Bones, I feel like I need a fantasy, and this obviously isn't that, so I don't know. I kind of feel like I should soft DNF it for now, obviously not because I'm disliking it. I actually am really intrigued to see where it carries on going, and it is the sort of book that I feel like if I carry on reading it and force myself to read it, especially based on the mixed reviews and the fact that I just want to love it so much because it's Emily Henry, I might fall into a reading slump. So I think, as much as it pains me to do this, obviously we read 2 books in this video that I absolutely adored, and I was so excited to read this one. I don't necessarily want to put the pressure on myself to finish this for specifically this video and put myself into a reading slump if I'm not currently craving this and I want to love it so bad. So I am. Makes me so sad to say I'm gonna soft DNF this for now. I'm definitely gonna keep it on my currently reading, but I'm not gonna force myself to pick it up like today or in the next few days. I'm just gonna grab it the second that I want this sort of read again because I feel like I could love it. And as I've already mentioned, I love a literary fiction with a small subplot of romance, which is why a lot of people aren't loving this. They say it's a released romantic yet, but I feel like I'm gonna love that, just not right now. I am unfortunately gonna softy enough this, and that obviously means that this video is over. I'm really sorry that I only ended up reading 2 books. Still feel like this video is worthwhile, especially to post, because I found 2 books I absolutely adored and a 5-star, and I very rarely find 5 stars, so yeah, I definitely do want to do another one of these. There are so many anticipated new releases coming out that I already have my hands on 2 that I really want to read, so if you would like to see another video like this, please let me know. Simultaneously, if you've read any of the books that I also read in this video, please let me know what you thought about them, whether you like them or you dislike them. I would love to know. What are some of your anticipated releases of the year? If they are already published, have you read them? Did you like them? What are some for the rest of the year? I would love to know. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much as always for watching and spending some time with me today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very, very soon with another one.